It wasn't God saying, I'm not with you. It's the opposite. God was with him in all of those circumstances and delivered him time and time again. And so Paul was always trying to encourage the people around him. Hey, you know my situation. We've just read, he made people aware of his troubles. He was transparent with his life so that people can see his life and also rise above in their life and not allow the optics of the situation to control them. Church, don't allow the winds and waves to dictate what you're doing right now or who you should be or what you will become. Don't allow it to dictate your imagination of the future. Don't allow it to dissuade your faith. But even if it does, rise again. Let your faith level come back out. Let go of the ideals that we have had and let's grip on to Jesus once again. Let's hold on to what he's saying. Remember, we have permission. All right, we have permission, but let's not remain in the state that we are of that faltering. Let's get up. Let's move forward. And Paul did not allow it. So here, was Paul a failure? Did Paul fail? Was he a failure? Of course not. But again, if we're in that situation, what would we perceive? How would we perceive others are looking at us? What would it look like? It would be very difficult. Paul knew what it looked like, but he was more concerned at who he was looking at than who was looking at him. Let me say it again. Paul was more concerned at who he was looking at than who was looking at him. So even though he was aware of who was looking at him, that's not where his focus was. His focus was, I'm looking at Christ and I'm looking at others. Again, I'm looking at Christ and I'm looking at others and how Christ wants to influence and love others, and I want to be part of that flow of love. Right? And that's what his focus was. Out of himself and into Christ. Out of himself, out of his own awareness, out of his own way, and into what Christ was saying and doing. And before that, because of that, he was brought before kings, and we have his letters today to hold on to grip on to be able to encourage us in our own faith as we walk forward. So let's sum this up with some questions to be asking in the micro church right now. So number one, what circumstances in your life embarrassed you or others around you? Okay? What are some circumstances in your life that embarrassed you or others around you? I have some weird, embarrassing stories. But what are some of your embarrassing stories, and what maybe you embarrassed others around you? Maybe you were fine, but others were really embarrassed. Let's talk about a few of those. Some of those will be pretty humorous, I'm sure. But maybe how did that affect you as well? All right. Number two, have we ever had so much pain that we just wanted it all to be over with? And what pulled us through those times? So remember Paul said, man, we were despair even unto life. Have you ever had those feelings? And then what was it that pulled you through? You're here today. What pulled you through those moments? What was it that you grabbed hold to in those times? Maybe that can be something that someone else around you will need in the future, all right? Number three, if you were met with opposition everywhere you went, what would it take to make you know that you were not a failure? All right, so maybe you're going through that right now. Maybe you're getting opposition, closed door, over and over and over again. How do you let that not dictate to you that you're a failure? How do you keep that? So maybe you've gone through that. Encourage someone else. Tell your story. There might be someone right now silent in your group that doesn't want to talk because they're dealing with it. Okay, and I want to encourage you, those of you that have been through it, share. It might not feel like the right time to share, but it is. I'm telling you right now. Listen to His Spirit. This is the right time to be sharing some of your testimony. Maybe a testimony you never shared before. It's time.